Hello, hello, hello. Hey, boo. This is Key, and you're listening to Who Cares podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, today is going to be another story time. Yeah, so today I decided to share with you guys a story about my childhood and how I was molested by my father. Yes, I know stories like this are a real drag, but I feel like it's a story that needs to be shared because a lot of times these kind of situations happen more often than we like to think, and most times they go unaddressed, leaving young women or young men, you know, that experience these kind of traumas in a place where no one should be. So I just feel like I should share, my story. So I was about 10 years old when it first started. I was in fifth grade, and my mom had just married my dad. Um, how it happened was I woke up with, um, mind you, let me back up real quick. Mind you, I begged this woman not to marry him. I don't know what it was, but you know how um, you get an uneasy feeling about a person and you just don't know why, but you have that very uneasy feeling. And that's just how it was. And I begged my mom not to marry this dude. I begged her. But she was like, you know what? That doesn't matter. I'm going to marry him. Um, at least you'll have your father in your life. Mind you, my mom has 5 kids and with 4 different baby daddies, according to her, 4 different baby daddies. So she marries him, and everything seems good, within like the first couple of months or whatever. But one night, him and my mom, they went out, and I guess she got a little bit too drunk, and she was passed out on the couch. He had moved the mattress for whatever reason off their bed into the living room on the floor. My mom was passed out on the couch, and the living room floor was like basically covered with a king mattress. So, unbeknownst to me, he had taken me and my sister out of our bed and moved us one at a time into the living room on the mattress. I woke up with his hand in my pants and my hand in his pants. He was using his left hand to rub, I guess that's the word I'm going to use, rub my private area in a circular motion. And he was using his right hand, holding my hand to basically play with his penis. And he didn't penetrate. He didn't penetrate. I can remember that. He did not penetrate, but I was so terrified and I didn't know what the heck was going on. I just froze and I laid there until he was basically finished. So he started to, of course, ejaculate in my hand. Um, he collected his semen out of my hand, cleaned my hand. I'm guessing what was on his shirt at the time, but it was dark. I couldn't see, and I was more so focused on how I was going to get out of the situation I was in. So once he got himself up off of the mattress and went into the bathroom, I sprung into action. Mind you, me and my sister, we have never really been the same size. She's always been bigger than me. Yes, I'm a year older than her, but she's always been bigger than me. But I picked my sister up and I carried my sister to our room like the fastest I could go. I was I was tiny, y'all. I was real tiny. So me carrying someone that was, bigger than me, it was just all adrenaline because I felt like I needed to get us to safety because I did not know what was going on or what else was going to happen. So I ran into our room, I locked the door behind me, and I put me and my sister in the corner of our room next to our dresser. So the way our room was set up was you had the door right next to the door, our dresser. There was a space where we kept our dirty clothes hamper next to our dresser in like the corner of the room. And our bunk beds were up against the wall towards the further side of the room. And instead of getting in the bed, I sat in the corner and held my sister all night long. And of course, she didn't wake up. She didn't wake up at all. Um, but I held her, and I don't know what took over me, but I cried because I didn't know what had just happened and I didn't know, how to feel about it. So that happened, and I knew about sex, of course, because in fifth grade we took sex education. So I knew what sex was. I knew what, a penis was. I knew what ejaculation was and, you know, sexual arousal and stimulation and what led to having sex, the after effects of having sex, the whole getting pregnant or, stuff like that. I knew that, that type of stuff came from sex. I knew about sex, yes, of course, but I didn't know that, you know, that this type of thing would ever happen. So I didn't know how to react to it. So weeks go by, I don't say anything, but I start to become like more withdrawn. And my mom, she didn't notice it, but I would never want to be around him if we were alone. I started to sleep with our bedroom door locked. And at some point, he figured that out. And he told us basically to not lock doors in his house because we don't pay bills. My mom didn't see anything wrong with that. And, she just left it as what it was. Eventually, I told my mom, like, hey, mom, I need to talk to you about something. And it's really important. So I asked her if we could go to the park down the street from the house so I could talk to her in like private. So we walk down there. We sit in it's a little baseball park. We sit on the bleachers and we start to discuss what happened that night. And I can remember the exact way she looked at me. She basically gave me this look like, okay, you telling me this because, well, nothing happened, so you're basically telling me this because, that's the impression that I got from her with discussing the situation to her. So after we, walked back to the house or whatever, she she packed her bags and she left. Yeah, she packed her bags and she left. And my baby sister, she won't remember this if I was to talk about this with her. She doesn't remember. She was like really really young at that time. I want to say she was in like first grade or something like that. But She begged me to tell my mom that I lied so our mom wouldn't leave us. Yeah. My mom packed her bags. She left. She left us there for like 3 days. And he asked her why she was leaving. And she told him, because she told me that you did this, that, and the third to her. So he told her that I was lying, that I would never do that to her. She's lying on me. I would never do that to her. Um, then he came to me and was like, why are you telling your mom all these lies? You need to tell her that you lied. Let her know that it's not true. Just tell her the truth. Tell her that it's not true and tell her you made it all up. So, of course, me being 10 years old and not, wanting to be made out as a liar, I told my mom, no, I'm not about to go back on what I told you because what I told you actually happened. So what I look like telling somebody that, well, this isn't true, so, don't feel any way about it. I just made it all up. No, that's not something you joke about. That's not something you lie about. Those are strong allegations to put on someone. So that's never something you should lie about. So fast forward a couple of days, maybe about a week or so, she ended up taking us to our pediatrician. And our pediatrician tells her that our hymen wasn't broken or hymen isn't broken. So therefore, she took that as in, well, her hymen isn't broken, so she clearly made it up. Yeah. Yeah, I clearly made it up though, right? Because my hymen isn't broken. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what else to, I could tell her because she told me not to discuss the reason why we were at my doctor's office with my doctor. So, of course, I'm a 10-year-old girl. I'm going to do what my mom tells me to do. But after leaving that doctor's appointment, everything just kind of just started to fall apart. He stopped for a while. He did. But then we moved and it kind of just slowly started back up. It got to the point where he wouldn't penetrate vaginally, but he would penetrate anally. And I would wake up random nights. I would wake up. Oh, not to mention, let me back up a little bit. Not to mention when we moved into our new house, he removed our doors off the hinges so we could not lock our doors. He would come into the bathroom while we were in the shower or in the bathtub and just come in without being announced and just not really stare, but he would stare. But he would kind of just like make up a reason as to why he came into the bathroom and just use that as an excuse to come in there. My mom, oh, that's just your dad. That's how he is. And, that's just your dad. He would never do anything to harm you. That's her take on it. Or that was her take on it. But I got to the point where I would only shower if he was either sleeping or not at home. Because I had become so uncomfortable with his approaches. Just use that word. And then one day, how it all stopped. One day, my grandmother came to the house and She walked in on him doing some, or in some compromising positions with my younger sister. Not my baby sister, but my younger sister. It's three of us. He said that he was just holding her, but what grown man lays on the floor or even on a couch or a bed with his, at the time, 11 or 12-year-old daughter, straddled him and laying on his chest. So her legs were down to either side of him and she was laying down on his chest. To me, that is not a okay thing for a father to do with a daughter that's not only was she going through puberty, she was developing as a young woman, but she's also 11 or 12 years old. That is something you do with maybe a 1-year-old that you're trying to put to sleep. You lay her down on your chest and rock her to sleep or something like that. But a 12-year-old, that's not something you do. And my grandmother found that very uncomfortable. So she called my mom and she tells my mom, you need to get home right now because you have a family emergency. My grandma told my mom what she saw. Whole time my aunt is on the phone with my granny. My granny told my mom what she saw, and of course my mom, oh no, he wouldn't do that. He loved his children. He would never do anything like that to them. Okay, cool. So once again, you're taking up for this man that's clearly showing you that he is a predator of younger women. So my granny gave her an ultimatum. She told my mom that it was she either was going to choose, him over my grandparents or my grandparents over him. And of course, she chose him. So I can't remember how long it was before we saw our grandparents again after that situation. But eventually, she ended up leaving him for all of the opposite reasons. They used to fight a lot. So that was the reason why she ended up leaving him, because she got tired of, being domestically abused and, fighting with him all the time. So that was the reason why she ended up leaving. Not because of me and my sister and the things that we were going through, but because of her issues with him. I can recall one night where I woke up to I'm not laughing because it's funny, but it's more so disgusting. But I woke up to, once again, me straddled him. At the time I was like 12 or 13 years old. But I woke up to me straddling him with my head on his chest. And I didn't have any pants on. I didn't have any panties on. And his penis, the head of his penis was in my rectum. And once again, terrified to even move, I kind of just started to move like I was starting to wake up, even though I was already woke. And as soon as he realized that I was coming out of, quote unquote, my sleep, that's when he, quickly popped it out and he started rubbing me on my back, asking me if I was okay, and if I was waking up, and if I was hungry. And yeah, it was a very trying childhood, should I say, for lack of better words. But yeah, like I stated before, she ended up leaving him for all of her own reasons, not because of us, but because of her reasons with him and her issues within that marriage. Well, that's my little depressing story about how I was molested by my father. Of course, it happened regularly, but I'm not going to sit here and share every story because we will be here all day. Well, until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next podcast.